Welcome, age of vintage society. Once upon a time there lived a female icon whose firmness, cautious morality and profound talent made her a gem that her associates aspire to be. I don't know what you think about the outstanding reign of glamour and emotional splendour that characterised the career life of Elizabeth Taylor. The obvious violet seductive eyes, the charm and the resultant career influence were more hypnotic than average personality traits. No wonder she was delightfully cherished by fans amidst romantic scandals. Why, Elizabeth Taylor wasn't just a mean homewrecker. Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. The touching marital tales of three-time Oscar winner Elizabeth Taylor and her scandalous romances. Elizabeth Taylor's huge career impact would continue to occupy history books for a time too long because she was one of those you could say had a clean bill in the entertainment industry, emotionally and otherwise, with her peculiar personality complication. She was an epitome of change who came to sanitize an industry too powerful for her capacity, though she was able to leave a legacy that would become a model for the generation to come. Described as everyone's favourite within her era, Taylor's impact is still reverberating more than 10 years after her demise. In case you don't know much about her remarkable career imprint, Taylor is respected for her roles in several outstanding movie productions that history has ever recorded. The famous Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf comes to hand. There's no gainsaying that this Oscar-winning actress, with her comprehensive career success, extended her goodwill beyond private pleasure. Perhaps you never knew of her impute as a notable celebrity philanthropist who diligently fought to assist those in distress from AIDS-related illness and funded research for a possible cure. Kindly recognised for her assorted taste in attractive diamonds and perpendicular dresses, Taylor is no doubt among the most stylish and intriguing female personalities of classic Hollywood. She was not one of those you could say lived on studio praise, singing, because her performances were so clear that critics think that she took the British and American film industry by storm. Leaving the scene with 3 Academy Awards and several other recognitions was just her way of making the right statement and immortalising her name as an incomparable legendary actress in Hollywood movies. A popular lyric about Taylor is that her gorgeous image helped illuminate most of her movies with that extreme charisma that defines her appeal. Her near upright public image was preserved by MGM for a long period before she made herself vulnerable to the gossip media. They hatched on her privacy to make themselves relevant. It suffices to say that she instantly became a media sensation, but a special kind because her stories were such that portrayed a groundbreaking symbol of unpretentiousness, who was poised to redefine celebrity fame. As one writer suggested, Taylor was busy ordaining the finest version of herself with fascination and sultry yet unrivalled dignity worthy of respect. To crown her delight as a role model, this British-born celeb was decorated as Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire in 2000, cementing her significant influence on humanity. Though she had a fascinating success, it did not come on a platter of gold. She had her share of hardship and schemes, all of which helped her tenacity and career principle. A friend of mine once refers to her as a beautiful star. I was honestly curious, but did not bother myself with a personal assessment. But encountering this passionate and witty lady, I was convinced that she deserves a place in the memory of contemporary women. To be more specific about Elizabeth Taylor's personality, I can only think of her stubborn nature as one who ditched Hollywood's men of values and their romances, even with her dazzling erogenous body. She created the romantic lane that would immerse her in unwholesome publicity. Some saw her as a perfect entrepreneur and courageous lady with good negotiation ability in the industry. Recall that after doing a part in 1963, Cleopatra Taylor became the first lady to haggle and take $1 million salary. So sad some of us never had the opportunity to meet Taylor, but we can always learn about the things that made her unique and her regrets, especially how her positives influenced humanity. Out of personal curiosity, after going through her data and the never-ending encomium that marked her career, I started wondering if she came from a royal family or had stool of some kind. Dame Elizabeth Rosamond Taylor, DBE, became a dual citizen of Britain and America after her American parents gave birth to her in northwest London in 1932. Growing up was a mix of fun and anger for young Taylor, with a class of parents that socialised with Laura Knight and statesmen like Colonel Victor Cazalet, who was Taylor's informal godfather and a huge influence on her childhood. Acquiring early ethics from Byron House School, a Montessori alongside the knowledge of Christian Science, which is her mother's religion, Taylor's foundation was made. Taylor and her parent were said to have returned to the United States in 1939 because of an impending war in Europe. Her family settled in Beverly Hills, California, where Taylor joined Hawthorne School. Recalling how her alcoholic drinking father affected negatively her childhood joy, Taylor, who started acting activities when she was 9, said she was having fun being pushed into the spotlight, only for her temper to constantly rise from her provocative or rather offensive father, who she linked behaviour to heavy drinking. Thanks to her mother, who made frantic efforts to have her daughter audition for Universal Pictures and MGM, which later saw her performing for Universal. As you already know, Taylor started her acting career as a child actress, and major movie part at 12 was in 1944 when she appeared in National Velvet, portraying the horse-loving girl who masks herself as a jockey. She was an animal lover, especially horses, so it was a perfect match for her to display that affinity in a role she later described as the most exciting movie she ever made. She was once quoted to have said she preferred taking care of animals to little girls or boys, probably because she lived and grew up taking care of her pony that was given to her when she was 3. That film became a huge box office success, and Taylor's accolade overshadowed the initial confusion and doubt caused by her beautiful bluish eyes, which they say made her look older than her age, with some admiring her boldness on set even at that age. Her enigmatic presence, observers say, was even more prominent than her acting. At this time her charm influenced MGM as they acquired her life completely, controlled and kept her under a strict rule of acting, filming and dancing, and much of close surveillance. Then she became the hottest stock in trade, with books analysing her write-ups about her pet chipmunk Nibbles, published in colour books, and dolls designed in her name. Being close guided on how to behave and do things with MGM Studio made her see marriage as an easy way out. Just like others of her kind, those she thought could help with some form of freedom remained silent until she triumphed with those commanding performances in films like Cynthia, Live with Father, and Julia Misbehaves, which shot her up for immediate stardom. And sooner her name was all over. She was rated high among the most influential stars of Hollywood pictures of the 1950s. Somehow she retained her famous status all through her life, as her name remained in the spotlight as a public icon, and by 1999 the American Film Institute crowned her the 7th greatest lady screen legend of classic Hollywood cinema, even though she claimed that she never had a formal career lesson in acting. But there was something very peculiar about her personal life that is worthy of mention. Each of her relationships was not just a subject of public debate, but had extreme media scrutiny, something that started with MGM and continued throughout her life. Very fresh in memory is a 1955 edition of a gossip journal that shattered her home with a highly scandalous publication. Her 8 marriages and marrying twice to one man were more than outrageous in the public circle, as fans expressed their displeasure over it. Everything began with MGM, who was said to have made her date football legend Glenn Davis in 1948. Then she was briefly betrothed to William Pauly Jr. Even the almighty Howard Hughes indicated his interest through his marriage proposal, with lots of parental come monetary enticement, all to seduce her into marriage. Against all odds, Taylor rejected the offers. After all, she had her idea of what marriage should look like, though she later attributed it to emotional immaturity because she had thought that marriage would give her the desired independence from the shackles of the overbearing studio. 18 years announced her maturity, so she moved in with Conrad Hilton Jr. after the two took their holy matrimonial vows in a church in Beverly Hills in 1950. MGM was said to have made it a lavish event with attendant media publicity. Just weeks after came a realization that her union with Conrad was in error. Too many oddities, including alcoholism and an insulting atmosphere that was eventually crowned with a miscarriage after a fierce disagreement, caused the inevitable divorce linked to mental cruelty. Even though she was reportedly chastised by MGM for that decision and had to be punished by being cast afterward in a B-rated movie, Taylor decided to try an older male, this time British actor Michael Wilding, who was 20 years older, in a secret London ceremony. This came after they met while filming The Conspirator in 1948. The union, which produced 2 boys, was highly complimentary and much the kind of quietness she wanted in her idea of marriage, while her husband aspired to a better career in Hollywood. Taylor was more relaxed at this time, though the union was beginning to shake with lots of semantics that became a huge scandal when a gossip publication suggested that her husband engaged the services of strippers in her home while she was on set for Giant in 1955. After divorcing him, Taylor fell in love with producer Mike Todd, who later died from a plane crash injury. Reports have it that she was so engaged with workplace commitment, working as Maggie the Cat in Tennessee Williams' Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, to even have time to mourn her husband, more so with the financial burden accruing from Todd's mix-up with huge debts. Amidst the marital confusion, Taylor found herself in illicit affairs that critics described as a radical move against her public reputation. It was singer Eddie Fisher whose wistful marriage to Debbie Reynolds was seen by many as a myth in the gossip circle. "Oh, did I hear you say she transformed from a vulnerable grieving widow to a clever homebreaker?" As you may have guessed, in the entertainment industry every publicity is fame, whether good or bad image. No wonder MGM cued in on this negative publicity to their gain by featuring her scanty robe posing image on a bed depicting her hotness. And you can tell it to the birds, because she won for herself an Academy Award nomination alongside a BAFTA nomination for the second time for her penetrating performance. That unexpected success made MGM constantly portray Taylor as a sensual image, from bikini robes to gossip columns satisfying stories of the raw and vulgar sex charm of the actress. Trust the media boys, as they made a feast of her info by chasing her about. Was it also the reason she won her first Oscar through her performance as a call girl and member of the elite gentry in Butterfield 8? That epic and obsessive outing resonated with her public image to endear her popularity. Then, like a vulture, the patient bird, the media did not hesitate to mirror her when they got a hint of her expert and stylish romance with handsome Richard Burton. Though legally married at the time, they were not bothered with extramarital concerns, as the illicit romance became the biggest selling point for gossip magazines. They continued publicising it as the romance progressed. Burton and Taylor were quite a pair, on and off the screen, as they starred in movies together. The VIPs, The Sandpiper, and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf readily come to mind. Perhaps approaching the apex of her career, Taylor's sarcastic, lustful but tantalising characterisation gave her another Oscar. Even she began to test her skills in the stage production, which appeared hitherto intimidatingly challenging for her initially, until she was able to conquer with her talent. Already through with 6 different men in marriages, Taylor was hoping to give her parting romance to the lucky fellow, and this time it was a construction staff, Larry Fortensky, who she married in 1988. The event was more like others, attracting powerful personalities, including her age-long friends, the media men who were on the ground to give a facelift to this fresh start, but this time with so many surprises. There was a report of a paparazzi photographer skydiving into the ranch and producing wedding images that Taylor sold to people for $1 million. The income thereafter she had used to kickstart her AIDS foundation, but more interesting is the fact that Taylor and Fortensky divorced 7 years after, but kept their friendship that appeared mutually exclusive. At the time she blamed the excruciating hip operations she had and his obsessive-compulsive disorder as the reason for the divorce. When Fortensky had brain surgery after dropping from an unfortunate balcony that kept him comatose for weeks, Taylor came knocking with a promise to offset his medical expenses. Although Taylor lived with a health complication all through her life, being born with scoliosis, plus a neck fracture from her earliest pony ride movie filming in 1944. She had managed it with surgeries, but her addiction to alcohol and prescription sedatives all contributed to her fast deteriorating health. Did I also mention that she was a chain smoker before she was treated for a dangerous bout of pneumonia? During the period of her dwindling health, Taylor was reported to have passionately written a letter to him saying, "You will always be a big part of my heart," and was reported to have spoken to him a day before succumbed to fate by joining her ancestors. Despite about 15 years of divorce, her will gave Fortensky the sum of $825,000. Elizabeth Taylor died of congestive heart failure in 2011, almost 2 months after she was hospitalized at the age of 79. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. It's obvious how Elizabeth seduced crowds of men, but what was Charles Boyer's secret to magnetize women? Watch this video.